Okay, then, well, I did a talk on the Eifel about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And that was one of the first things I ever did in this group. So that was, yeah, let's say in the beginning of our cooperation and the beginning of my photographic adventures. Now I made a new one, a completely new one. There's no single photo, which was the same as the last time. And last time I did it on the different sites, different locations. But I left that now because the variety is much larger than that now. So I do it in alphabetical order. As usual, on every slide, you see the chemical formula, the crystal drawing, the field of view, and if applicable, the type locality. Nearly all specimens are from my own collection, but I have a surprise at the end. I'll tell you about that later, of course. All photos by myself, etc. It's the usual stuff, you know that. This is just a short reminder where we are. As you know, I live in the Netherlands. That's up here on the left, and on the left, on the west side is Belgium. That's just a few miles away. And on the other side is Germany. That's also just a few miles away. And all the stuff, all the locations in the Eifel are about 2 hours drive, not even that. So we can do more than just a day, more than one in just a day. And yeah, we go there regularly with small groups, larger groups, two people. Well, so it's sort of a backyard. So that's the reason why we always get new things and always find say better crystals than before. So here we go. This is the first one. Aphthalite. This is calcium silicate. That's relatively abundant in Eifel, but probably is not recognized as such very often. This one comes from an old collection that I had that I've taken over a few years ago, and aphthalite was on the label. I'm not sure whether or not it's analyzed, but let's say looking at the color, the habit, and the crystal shape, I think I can accept what's on it. But well, I can say that almost with every single picture that you're going to see. Let's say formal analysis is always better, but I have, let's say, confidence that this is really aphthalite. This is one of the best finds from the last years. Microminerals is called, and Microminerals is a member of the melilite group. And at first we all thought it was something completely different. But this one is analyzed because we all were doubting about what could this be. And it turns out to be Microminerals, and let's say the decisive characteristics are the tetragonal, as you can see, and tabulary flat crystal shape. And the color is specific. From now on, if I see this color in the Eifel, in some places, not in all places, then I always come to the jump to Microminerals. It's a member of the melilite group. Then the first REE, mineral allanite CE. Yeah, well, in Eifel you have a lot of black mineral species. So yeah, well, the first thing you have to do is to look very carefully at the crystal shape and the drawing. And this is quite clear, I think. There's nothing else I could make from it. And everybody in our group here agrees with this. So we call it allanite CE. And that's a member of the epidote supergroup. Aluminum hydrocalcite, yeah, that's actually say water-bearing calcite with some aluminum. That's in the formula. It's not in the grow line. That's the location. It's not very rare, but mostly it forms white and to a little pale yellow bulbs, spherical structures, with hard to detect individual crystals. But this one is typical. This one is one of the, let's say, the finds that are easily recognizable if you know where it is, where you find it. And it's typical for the graphite, which is the location where it occurs most. Then the inevitable amphibole supergroup, as you know, A, X, and Z are the possible different elements that you can encounter. We talked about that a few times ago, but so I just show you a few examples of the amphibole supergroup with the connotation that you're not able to make any distinction visually between the different subspecies. So that's the reason why we call it amphibole supergroup. There are a few exceptions. I'll show you just one of those in a moment. But first, a few undetectable ones. You see here long, elongated, long crystals in, let's say, in little bit of a chaotic organization. And this is typical for amphibole as it occurs in the quarry that's called Amortenberg. It's one of my favorites because these crystals come in every shape and in very many varieties. And the first one is even beautiful than the next, more beautiful than the next. And then you have amphiboles who do this, which do this. I don't know which one the variety should be. I don't know. But you see that amphibole does strange things all the time. This is probably a growth pause and then something else. And then I couldn't explain it. So if anybody can do that, that's great. But I can show you dozens more of these amphiboles, and they are all different. And there are many with more than just one color, internally colored, with needles, all kinds of things. I think I can make a book with only amphibole crystals. Well, this is a variety that I'm sure of because of the color and because of the shape. It's Aubertite, and this is one of the most delicate things I have. The whole picture, the whole photo is just 0.6 millimeters, so you can imagine how small the crystals are and how delicate they are, especially the very long ones. And I always am surprised and happily surprised, I must say, that these things survive the trip from their location to my basement. The pink color is typical for this Aubertite, and it's probably, but I'm not sure about that, it's not too sure. It's manganese in the crystal grid, which takes care of this color. And there are two sub-varieties. That's called, the one is called ferri Aubertite with iron, and the other is mangano Aubertite. But even with full scientific analysis, these things are very hard to distinguish. So, this is one of the things that I'm most satisfied with, because this is a super specimen, I think. Then Andalusite, the Dagsbush, that's the location. And as far as I know, this location is close to many years, and I think even longer than I am a collector of minerals. So this one comes from a very old collection. It's very special. Why? Because Andalusite normally is always growing into something and always opaque. So the crystals are always never transparent. So this is it's not a very good crystal, of course. but it's very special because of the transparency and the freestanding growth. Then we have anorthite, which is a silicate from the feldspar group. Sanidine is much more abundant in the Eifel, and it's another member of the feldspar group, and so you would probably be well, you would probably have the tendency to think that this is sanidine, but if you look very carefully at the crystal form, it gives you clues that this should be or could be anorthite. But of course, you know that formal analysis would be in place here, actually. But I only have one, so that makes it a bit complicated. Biotite, or maybe this is phlogopite, I'm not sure. As black as these are very, very abundant in Dellen, in this location. Of course, they are very easily recognizable. Very thin hexagonal platelets in thick packages like this one. It's unmistakable. It's biotite. That's very probably or maybe phlogopite, because these are visually not easy or not even not indistinguishable. And apart from these black packages, you have also let's say regularly brown transparent crystals in the Eifel. This comes from some nomenclature, and this is unmistakable biotite or maybe again phlogopite, but in a different habit as in some other locations. Garnet, of course, andradite in this case, is very abundant in a few places, and this is a huge specimen because this whole picture is 5 millimeters with a lot of crystals. They're very shiny, all exactly as the crystal shape should be. So andradite is most likely, because that is from the literature, as far as I know, is almost everything is andradite in the Eifel. And don't ask me what those white little things are. I don't know. Bixbyite. This is one of the black cubic minerals, which in the Eifel are very hard to distinguish from each other. But in this case, the crystal shape gives you the clue, because I follow my mouse. Here you see a little triangle, which is the same as here in the corners of the crystal drawing. So I'm up here, it's the same. So this is unmistakably Bixbyite. Which, to make things a little bit more complicated, this is not magnetite, as you would probably think at first sight. This is brownite. Because why? Because these little, here, look at the drawing, the little faces here, rectangular faces, you can come back in the crystals here and on top of it. So this is brownite and not magnetite. And so it's a manganese mineral and not an iron mineral. And apart from that, magnetite in the Eifel is mostly more less shiny and often striated. While brownite is mostly smooth and shiny.
It looks like a twinned crystal as well.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. I mean this here. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. And now that you say it, I can see it. Okay. All right. Yes. Brankite is formed mostly crystals in a radiated habit. Sometimes you see loose wedge-formed crystals. This is an old find from 1982 or something. because this place is off limits for years already. Look at the crystal shape, the end faces here in the drawing. If you look here, then you see that these small faces are typical for brancite. And that's what you see here. And here you can see the same. So this is without any doubt brancite, and that's from the type locality also. This is what peculiar thing, I think. Britholite CE is a member, as you know, of the apatite group. So the crystal shape is hexagonal, it's the same as apatite. But the identification is simple. If it's pink, then it's britholite, and britholite CE. And in this case, it's filled with red hematite platelets. And that makes it so special. And you see how small this thing is. 0.5 millimeters are these crystals. So these platelets are much smaller than that. And here on the left, that's mica biotite, I think. This is something of a could be confusing, because in the Eifel, nepheline is much more abundant, but this is, in my interpretation, for two reasons. This is not nepheline but cancrinite, because nepheline is also six-sided, but flat on top, flat on. And this is with a roof, you could say. And apart from that, this is triated in the same way as the crystal drawing of cancrinite 2, which nepheline not never, but not often does that. So this is, I call this cancrinite. Cancrinite is aluminum. No, it's a complex silicate, I think. So, all right. No, then pyroxene, clinopyroxene in this case, are quite abundant in the Eifel. In most locations you can find them. They are much less abundant than amphibole, so you have to look very carefully. And I think I told that before. This is an angle of 90 degrees here. This one. And that's you can see that here also. And that's the identification mark for pyroxene instead of amphibole, because amphibole only makes angles of 120 degrees. And there are two subgroups, clinopyroxene and orthopyroxene. And orthopyroxene is much less abundant. It's actually only its enstatite as variety. And that's not too abundant. Clinopyroxenes, pyroxenes are far more in the Eifel defined. This is a variety agerine, as you probably can see, because of the green color. The color is always nice green. I've seen a lot of those on. In the Azores, I told you that a few months ago, and normally most literature calls this not agerine but agerine augite for some reason. So probably it's a mix of two subspecies, but it's a loose needle with the exact end faces as they should be. These are textbook examples of cordierite, hexagonal crystals, thick prismatic, built vertically striated, and a nice shiny brown color. And there's no doubt about the identification or the recognition, I must say. This is cordierite, without any doubt. Corundum, as you know, the two gemstones from corundum are sapphire and ruby, blue and red. But on this micro level is that a useless distinction. So we just we just name these things corundum in whatever color they have in the Eifel on this micro level, but we have different habits. This is the what's this thing called? This is what's in English? This form, and you have the next one, platelets, 6-sided platelets here. This one, yellow. This color is quite an exception. Mostly not quite dark, but I got this from I took over a small part of the collection a few years ago from a deceased German collector who did research in Eifel for years and years and years, and he had a collection that nobody had. So I took over a few, just a small part of that. This was one of those. So that's the reason why I don't have any doubts about the naming. And then we have as also corundum the barrel-shaped crystals. Corundum is colorless from itself, but this is a light coloring to a little yellowish greenish, and that is caused, I think, by strange elements, strange trace elements in the grid, or maybe a little bit of internal radioactivity. I don't know, but this is slightly colored. That occurs most of the life. This is a beauty. This thing is 0.2 millimeters high. So this was a challenge to get this thing a little bit sharp on the photo. Smaller. These are balls. The balls are cristobalite. I did not analyze that myself, but this is known to be cristobalite. Cristobalite is a polymorph of quartz, and that origins on the very high temperatures. Cristobalite gets stable only above 1470 degrees Celsius, and these little spheres are sitting on rods of hematite, and in the Eifel, and especially in Wannekever, these rods of hematite occur quite often. But this is the only one I ever saw with these cristobalite balls on it. And, sadly, it's not in my collection. It's from my friend of mine, Chuck Litzkin. So this is a beauty. Ettlingen is just a place next to the Bellberg, and that's the reason why this Ettlingite is named after Ettlingen. And it was found for the first time on the Bellberg, of course. And the identification is, let's say, quite simple, quite easy, as long as you encounter very clear, water clear, long prismatic and hexagonal crystals with a pointy habit. It's always attringite, but attringite also occurs as even as hairs. And even as very, very, I don't know what that is in English, but in very complex mineral structures. And then it's not so easy as you would hope. This one is quite clear. Then we have olivine. Olivine has two end members, that's firelite and forsterite, the iron silicate and the magnesium silicate. And if you see, if you look at the crystal shape, here, the right one here, firelite is clear, And here, this one also. And twilight can be detected from the brown color and the opaqueness, opaque texture, while forsterite is transparent and colored, otherwise colored. And here in this location, they're almost red, in a company of either hematite or this pseudobrochite. But the firelight here and there are completely concordant with the crystal drawing. That's the reason why there's no doubt about the determination, identification. Same goes for this one. On the left, flurkite, on the right, philipsite. And philipsite is much more abundant. So I'd say that 96% or something like that is always philipsite. But nevertheless, there is a possibility, if you know what you're looking at, to make a distinction between flurkite and philipsite because of the different end shapes. Look at this flurkite here, this upper face here is seen there, here, if you follow my mouse. And this is always roofed. You can see that here, for instance. In other places also, this is philipsite and this is flurkite. And now I'm going to tell you that the reality is much more complicated than that. So actually you should let all these things be analyzed before you make any conclusions. But in reality, nature does things that we don't want to, because it makes things more complicated than we hope for. But in my experience, this one should be flurkite and this should be philipsite. And fluorapatite, crystal shape is clear, I think. In the delta of the rock, rocks are very brittle. It's a sort of mix between sanidine and volcanic glass, with a lot of cavities, and sometimes with surprisingly good developed crystals like magnetite, like titanite, and also the fluorapatite. And it's almost always shows nice developed crystals. From themselves, they are always colorless, but and completely transparent. But by iron contamination, this one, they can be also a little bit brownish, orange brownish. You saw this was a colorless fluorapatite, but there's one exception. That's this one. This is quite rare. In Amelberg, of course, in Eifel, it's the only one I ever saw, and it took us some time before we knew what it was. But this is confirmed to be fluorapatite in a very blue color. They are always almost completely ingrown in the sanidine matrix. So this is an exception. Fluorite. Yeah, well, you could think that this would be calcite or something, but it's not. It's really fluorite. That's it's confirmed also. And you can, yeah, if you have some fantasy, you could imagine why this is around it. Because if you take the basic form, basic is always cubic, and then yeah, if these angles are diminished, then you get this one. And if you even go further with that, then eventually they get round. And that's my own interpretation of the growth of these things. But it's in any case, this is fluorite. And what makes the blue color, I don't know. And I give you a tip. There is an app, but you just can freely download that from the App Store. It's called Math to Touch. Math from mathematics to touch, and that describes all these processes. You can see it visually how these things work. Math to touch, it's called. This is Günther Blassite. Günther Blass still is a very well-known Eifel specialist who lives, let's say, 40 kilometers from here. And so this mineral is named after him. The white platelets here, this stuff, that's Günther Blassite. And these are filler silicates, which you can imagine, of course, because of this form, this crystal shape here. Lulai is one of the nastiest places that I know here in Eifel, because you have to walk about 3 kilometers with your full package on your back before you get back to your car, and it's all mountain up, of course. The chance that you find something is quite slim, so I don't like to go there. But there are people who are lucky and find some stuff like this there. And I think I didn't find this myself. I got this from an exchange or something. Hannebachit from Hannebach, and there's a place called the Hannebacher Lei, which is already closed for many years. And Hannebachit is the very sensitive, very fragile crystals. Sometimes they always are a bit like arrow, a bit pointy here, and with this end face, which is a bit flat like this. So you have to take care of them with utmost prudence, because these things they crumble when you look at them. So this is very, very, very thin. Hematite. Yeah, well, most of us know hematite in all kinds of large crystals and large ore pieces. But on this micro level, hematite does all kinds of bizarre things on the basis of a very large number of different crystal structures. So the drawing here on the right is just one of many. If you go to Mineralien Atlas, I think that you find about 100 or so different crystal drawings of hematite. In the Eifel, hematite is mostly well formed. It's very nice for making photos. This is filigrane, if that's the correct English. Let's say, is typical for the Wannenkopfer in this location, while these beautiful red pastilles, red diamond-shaped crystals, are much more typical for some other places, among which the Belleberg, the famous Belleberg. This is great stuff. One of the 3 type locality minerals in the Grauwei is Hilschried, named after a German collector. It's known for not so very long, I think, 20 years or so. The basic structure is hexagonal, but on this micro level, that's impossible to see, of course. But without exaggeration, this is an outstanding specimen, because it's you can see the different microcrystals on it. Normally, they are just very, very undistinguishable. And this stuff, filtrite, is so rare, it's only known from here and nowhere else in the world so far. This is what you want to find. The most wanted of all in the Wannenkopfer is Jeremy White, especially in the distinctive blue-gray color like this one. You see that this whole structure is this whole spherical growth is just 0.3 millimeter. So Jeremy White is called the micro among the micros. And the biggest problem is not so much that they are very small, because there goes some more things in the Eifel, but they always blend in. They blend in a scala of different sorts, different species. They just don't contrast. So you have so it's very much likely that you throw other stuff away while these things are in it. So this is a very nice find. Lucite, if I could pronounce that correctly, it's always colorless, easy to confuse with things like analcime, because that looks the same and has the same crystal structure, also cubic. But the difference is that analcime is a zeolite and lucite is not zeolite. So normally you would could make the distinction, because if you know the paragenesis and the location of origin, and analcime does not occur in Eifel. So this is lucite. Same doubt you could have on this one. Of course, you would at first you would think that this is magnetite, and that's not impossible. I must say that. But in the nickel Zattel, magnesium ferrite is quite abundant, and all these crystals there have different markings on their sides here. So these things are all different, and that should, but not 100% sure, but this should indicate that it's magnesium ferrite and not magnetite. And especially because this specimen comes from the nickel Zattel, which is known for producing these magnesium ferrite crystals. From magnesium ferrite we go to magnesite. And basically it's hexagonal, as you can see in the picture, but in the Eifel it's often arranged as spherical structures like this one. And the little colorless crystals up here, all these little things, are just as before crystal bellite spheres. Red orange blocky, almost no confusion is possible. This is melilite, and before you saw acromanite, which is a member of the melilite group. So this is just called melilite group, but the crystal drawing is exactly the same because it's the same group, of course. In some of the Eifel quarries, melilite is quite abundant, but most always they are weathered, so they are irregular and not good crystallized, and sometimes. So this is a good find, and you have them from yellow to orange to deep red like this one. And the needles you see here are all fluorapatite, and these crystals down here are nephelines. This is how you want to find melite. Melite is also colorless, which makes it, in that case, it's quite difficult to determine. But with a color like this, there's no question about it. This is melite. Always in the form of hairy bundles, but sometimes melite can be white, and then you can have a problem that you don't know if it's melite or topaz, because they often occur together, and the crystal drawing doesn't help. So this color is decisive in this case. This is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Once again, not in my own collection, but from a friend of mine. And ozonolite is a very complex silicate that in the Eifel often shows very beautiful blue crystals, right walked away from the textbook. This is the best one I've ever seen. And I have one, which I'm going to show you now, that I found myself. It's this one. This comes from another place, because the previous one comes from Wannenkopf, and this comes from the Herschenberg. And the Herschenberg is off limits for years and years in the meantime. But in the 90s, a few friends and I went especially to Herschenberg, to this quarry, to find this mineral. The form of this one is almost perfect because of all these little faces are exactly as they should be, as they are shown here. So, and they are water clear. So this is a great find. Perovskite. Perovskite is basically cubic, and in most parts of the world they are cubic. Cubic perovskite crystals are almost black, always black. But in the Eifel they are mostly known or found as very complex structures, and that's the reason why they are very much wanted. This is one example of it, and this is another example. And this is a great thing, and you see that the cubic basis is visible here, but these are built like trees, and this is beauty. And this coloration is not only in the light, but this iridescence is a characteristic of the mineral itself here. The same goes for the next. This is pseudobrokite, very abundant in the Eifel. It comes in almost all the different locations. You find it everywhere. Often as thick, loose crystals like this one. With in this case, the color is real. This is not a light influence. This iridescence is the characteristic for this crystal itself. So this is thick and loose, or single, and this one is red-brown. These crystal groups are without any doubt pseudobrokite, and you also have them almost yellow hairs. So there's a shift in the habit as you can find pseudobrokite. This is a top find. I found this myself 2 years ago. Powder it's always very, very small. I showed you a few from the Azores, which were always loose crystals. And in the Eifel, they are almost always also loose single crystals, very, very small. So this specimen of almost 2 millimeter is huge. And of course, the crystals themselves are quite small. But in this a group like this, is very rare find. So I was very pleased with this one. And the crystals are textbook. A bit of a rarity. There is quite a chance that this might be confused with phyllite. But this is confirmed to be Pyrox mangite. It's a manganese silicate, which is very, very abundant worldwide. If you look at Mindot, the list of locations where it occurs is endless. But this here in Eifel, recognizing it and finding it and having it in your collection is not that simple. So it's easily confused with something else, and it's not very abundant here. But this is confirmed. Rutherite is almost perfectly hexagonal, always. Mostly short prismatic. You can see that in the picture also. The problem is to find it because it blends in the background. It's always, almost always colorless on a very light background. And here in the Elberg, you can find them in a spot of let's say 10 square meters, and that's it. And if you don't know that, you'll never find them. So there's a, let's say, select group of people who knows where this is, and then you have always success. But if you just go half meter outside that area, forget it. That's Emmelberg. In the Belleberg, you find colored ones, green ones here. And this goes in the direction of the sub-variety Gaia-site, but it's never been confirmed. So mostly they are colorless and slightly yellowish, but sometimes they have a beautiful color like this one. Rutile, that's clear. You see knee twins with the specific angle. The color is characteristic, and the crystals are textbook rutile, which may be very abundant worldwide, but here this is it's not that easily found. Sanidine is, as I said, the most abundant material in the Eifel as a whole. Every matrix is almost always sanidine. And well, let's say straight crystals like this one here are not very interesting because you find them in hundreds and hundreds. But sanidine can do strange things, and this is an example of that. This is a long rod of mineral crystals, 3 millimeters long, which well, this is sort of building that you don't see every day. Sodalite is a group. You have sodalite, you have haween, you have nosian, but they are very hard to distinguish from each other. So without analysis, it's almost impossible. So that's the reason why we call this sodalite group. This one is nice and transparent and yellowish, but most of the stuff in the Eifel is like this. This is sodalite as we know it from the Eifel. White, opaque, almost always good, well crystallized according to the drawing as they should be. And in this one, they are quite abundant, but this one is quite a rarity. And especially while it's 4 millimeters large, which is huge for the Eifel. Thaumasite is very closely related to ettringite, and I have this one from an exchange with thaumasite on the label. But without formal analysis, you should actually name it thaumasite ettringite series, because purely visual, you cannot keep them apart. So this I should name this thaumasite ettringite series. But it's beauty. Titanite is almost always bright yellow to orange with crystals with a very high luster. The challenge is to find good crystals, of course. Mostly in the Delaware, titanite often is well, let's say pieces without any visible crystal structures. But this is a nice one, which resembles at least the crystal shape. But no, this is an exception. This blocky habit. The most abundant habit is this one, pointy, needled, yellow to orange, much more abundant. Mostly they are very small, so finding them is not too easy. And the same goes for making decent photos. But this is, everybody knows that this is titanite. And of course, topaz, I took this one because this shows the crystal shape exactly as it should be. This little triangle is visible here and there. So this is the basic shape of topaz as it occurs in the Eifel. But this one is easy, but now we get more confused. This is also topaz, but pointy crystals here on little balls, not of crystallite, but in this case, organic glass. And this thing is about 1 millimeter. So these needles are very, very small. But there's just one thing that does that. If it would be mellite, which I told you in the beginning, then this would be hairy, and these are straight crystals. So this is topaz. Everybody agrees on that. Or it forms topaz, it forms bow ties like this one. And even you have yellow topazes. They are quite rare, just in a few places. Well, these are very hard to determine if you don't know what you're looking at. Then volbertite. Volbertite is a copper vanadate. If you see the V from vanadium here in the crystal grid. So where this vanadium comes from is an enigma to me. And this volbertite is rare. It's restricted to just 1 or 2 places. Out in Kop, this one here is the most well known of those, and mostly they are small and opaque, and always in the form of bulbs. But sometimes, and that's the exception, they are a little bit larger, a little bit more translucent, and more differentiated on the surface. So this is without any doubt this is volbertite. Comes from the same place, so well, this is a better find than the last one, a rarer find actually. Now we have a surprise, zircon. Nice color, isn't it? This is pink, and the crystal shape is definitely zircon. But if you find zircon in cavities that you just open yourself, then they are pink. Most of them, they're all not pink. Most of them are pink. If you wait for half an hour, then they do this. This is the same crystal, but half an hour later. So I made this photo without cleaning the thing, without anything. It came right out of the egg, I could say. I made a picture, and half an hour later, this is this one. So the color disappears. And I tried to find a reason for that. And somebody told me that apparently light gives the problem that some electrons are knocked out. If that's chemistry, I don't know about, but or physics, I don't know about, but that's what they told me. And that's the reason why the color disappears, and it's irreversible. So if you want pink zircons, keep them in the dark, or make a small, fast photo. This is this thing here is a fluorapatite, by the way, and this, of course, biotite or mica. But this is a very strange phenomenon. Right. Now that was what were my own finds. Now for dessert, in 5 minutes. Few real rarities, fully analyzed, because they are so rare that nobody has them, and neither do I. But my friend André Rommond purchased a large collection for a ridiculous high amount of money from a well-known, renowned German collector. And with every species, he has the analysis reports. So here we go. Fast. This is bodleiite. Bodleiite is, let's say, worldwide not too rare, but in the Delta and in the Eifel, it's very, very rare. Bodleiite is zinc, zircon oxide. So it's simple stuff, but nevertheless very rare. Cerianite Ce is cerium oxide, so it's a RE mineral. I would never recognize it, I would think nobody does. And then we have Ekebergite, I had never heard of it. But this is a thorium iron niobium mineral oxide. And that's this from the type locality. Worldwide, it is only described from one single place somewhere of friends in Russia. So it's very rare. This is even rare. Engelhaupt is a German collector. It comes from the same place as the vanadium bearing vanadinite, volbotite, I mean, from Alphen copper. It's the same find. The rock where it's in is hard. You need a drill because with a hammer you wouldn't get these things out. And it's only known from here, nowhere else in the world. Engelhauptite. So it's this is I mean, it's of course the yellow things. Yes. Now we want to pronounce this one. I did some practicing. This is named after a Japanese mineral expert whose name is Akasaka. So this is very Akasaka-ite, LA. And when you're drunk, I don't think you get it out of your throat. But this this thing is very rare. It's also an RE mineral. It's worldwide known from 3 places. One in Japan, of course, as the type locality. One in New Jersey in the USA, and from here. And well, if you will never find it, because if you really would want to find these things, then you have to analyze every single black crystal that you find, and the number of black crystals in the Della is huge. So it's nearly impossible. Another type locality is Lilleite, and it's named after the old obsolete name of the Lillei. Lillei is the quarry, and it was called in the old days Lillei. That's hence the name, and it's just known from a few places in the Eifel, nowhere else. So these small platelets. Named after Mendig. Mendig is the place where the town where in Delden is located. So this is called Mendigite. Only known from the Canary Islands, nothing, and from here. So that's also very rare, but visually it is impossible to recognize or to ID. This is easy. Nickenigheid from Nickenigheid. The name speaks for itself, and it always makes these widely, mostly ingrown crystal shapes. So this is, if you find this, then you know what it is. And it's only been found here, except here, only on the Vesuvius in Italy, and once again someplace somewhere in Russia. Oxalite from the Hannebacherlei. We'll never find it again because this location is closed for 30 years or so. And it's calcium sulfate, which is in Eifel only in this place. And further still on 3 other locations in the world somewhere. I don't know where, but just 3. This is Pargasite. Pargasite is a member of the amphibole supergroup. Worldwide, quite abundant, but here it's very, very rare. And especially if you just saw this, you would think it's a lot of things, but not Pargasite. So this is if this wasn't analyzed, you would never know. And the last one of all, and the smallest, this is Van der Meersite. Van der Meers is Belgian collector. I know him. He's much older than I am. But this is in his honor from the Meerside, and it's from the Shelkop, which is also the only place where it's ever been found. I think that the needle is probably apatite, full apatite, but I'm not sure about that. So the yellow sphere here, the whole picture is 1 millimeter. So imagine how small this is. And it's about 0.1 millimeters. So it's named after my Belgian colleague, Eddie van der Meers. And that's it for today. Thanks. And rush through it as well. Let's see. We're back.
Excellent. Very good.
Yeah. Very good.
Very good. Very
Excellent.
good.
Yeah, I love it. So, yeah.
It's great to have the diagram next to the photo.
Yeah, well, on this micro level, that's the only thing you can do, because things like hardness or anything that you do with larger crystals is not possible.
Yes.
So you have to know where it comes from, what you can find there, what the paragenesis is, and you have to use your knowledge of crystal shapes, because that's the only chance that you have to make right, or at least educated attempt to ID. An attempt to ID. It's always an attempt. Yeah.
The blue fluorapatite that you had, Henk, that's probably been partially reabsorbed. So there are a couple of localities here, Broken Hill, and also in the Flinders area in basalt, where you get very similar color and that sort of.
You mean the brown ones?
No, the blue.
Oh, the blue. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got that sort of scalloped edge. It's sort of partially melted, I think.
At first, we just didn't know what it was, but it's confirmed that it's fluorapatite. And so I just have one, and I only saw it once. So from time ago, let's say a few months ago, I took over the complete Eifel collection from a friend of mine who unfortunately has to stop being a mineral collector due to health problems. He's 15 years older than I am. So I took over his whole collection. Our local group is now busy with with recognizing and researching everything, because he has lots and lots of things where the locality is on the label, but not what it is. And that makes it sport in itself, you know.
Yeah.
But okay, if you know where it comes from, then you have the possibility to find some.
Yes.
About 1,000 more.
Yeah, I know. And this one came out of this collection with blue apatite. So well, it took some time before we had the idea. Hey, what's this? No.
Right. Any other questions for Henk? No. If not, we'll wrap it up for today. The video probably won't make it onto YouTube until the weekend, because I'm going mineral collecting. So I won't have time to do it until I get back. So if anybody wants to rewatch it, they'll have to wait.
Yeah.
And until next month, when we'll have Rod Martin on Mare Island.
Right.
See you all then.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
See you in December.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Nice one, Hank.